I think the future of work is integrated with sustainability. So, doing good work, doing work that you can contribute back to the community, using your business basically as a force for good. So I've been on that sort of journey since 2016. I actually became aware that as a successful company, it was an obligation to give back to the community. And I designed a program within my own company, our own business model, to be able to do that. And it wasn't just successful in connecting us to the community and making a difference. It was something our team could feel proud of and feel that they were contributing to as well. And it was the start of my journey, my long journey of purpose-driven leadership.
Sometimes it takes one sentence to change the course of a life. For Desiree Bombenon, that moment came in third grade, when her teacher, Miss Black, handed her a quiet but radical idea. You can be brave. 3 years later, at just 11, she made a call that ended the violence at home and began a life built on bold decisions. In this conversation, Desiree opens the door to everything that followed. From growing up in poverty and discovering her entrepreneurial fire, to leading a purpose-driven company that ties profit to impact, you'll hear how she rebuilt a failing business with agility and heart, turned sustainability into strategy, and is now creating a women's business club in Calgary to lift others as she climbs. This is a story about instinct, impact, and the small acts of courage that compound into legacy. Stay tuned. The first step might start with something as simple as permission. Hi, Desiree. Welcome to the One Away Show.
Thanks so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here, and I appreciate you making the time, and happy belated Mother's Day. So, Desiree, what is the one away moment that you want to share with us today?
I guess my one away moment is, I was a child of adversity. So I lived in, I would say, an utterly terrifying childhood. And to tell you the truth, I am not sure where I would be today, because I think every person has a different level of tolerance for these types of crucibles through their lifetime. And depending on the situation, different ways of coping with them. So I believe I transformed my life by being brave because of one person. And that was my grade 3 teacher, Ms. Black, and she gave me permission to be brave. And I continue to do that through many challenges and that I've had throughout my life.
Okay, thank you. Well, first off, we all know a good third grade teacher. I can think of mine named Miss Harmon. She was pretty special, probably the only third grade teacher I remember, or elementary school teacher. So interesting that was your teacher that maybe helped you overcome some things. If you don't mind me asking, you said you had a terrifying childhood. Do you mind giving any color or context to what that means?
Yeah, I just, my father was an alcoholic, and he was very abusive to my mom, but also to all of us. There are 5 children in our family. So it was, growing up with that for many years. And, when I said, my grade 3 teacher gave me permission to be brave, because of that, when I was 8 years old at the time, and, when I was, and we grew up with that till I was about 11. And when I was 11 years old, I got the courage to, call social services and have my father arrested when I was 11. So yeah, it was pretty eventful.
Wow. Well, first, thanks for the vulnerability and for sharing. Wow. I want to touch on your third grade teacher as well. You said she gave you the courage to be brave.
Yeah, she gave me permission, I guess, because I think I've always been a brave individual deep down inside. Like I said, we go through these different things and through our lifetime, and depending on, who you are, you have a different tolerance level, and you'll act and behave differently based on those situations. And I had a mechanism, a very inward mechanism of coping with these things. So when she, she noticed a few things, a few bruises, whatever. And she talked to me about it. And she, I was only 8 years old at the time. And by the way, when you said your grade 3 teacher also impacted you at that age, there's something about the age of 8, I guess, out there. I'm talking to some psychologists that 8 is the year that, children get most impacted by what parents say and teachers say, although they do all the time, but there's something about 8 years old.
Interesting.
Very interesting. But she chatted with me about, some of the things that I could do to help myself. And, she really encouraged me and told me that, I could make the difference for my family. And it took another 3 years before I actually got the courage to do something, but I did. And it was just me going back to that conversation with her.
Wow. Holy moly. For a story offline, I'm happy to share an 8-year-old kind of moment. But for it's so interesting you bring that into this conversation for you, even though it maybe took you a few years to act on it. Sounds like what she shared was super formative. Can I ask kind of just a question around this, if you don't mind? Like when you were growing up, you said there's alcoholism. It was very abusive. Did you know like what was happening was not right? Like, did you know? Or was it just so customary? It was just kind of the days went on, and then, you woke up, and we're like, oh my God, this isn't right. I'm just kind of curious how you built up that bravery and realization to say, I need to do something about this.
Yeah, that's a really good question. When I was little, I've thought about this a lot. And when I was very young, when we were just little kids, I thought this was normal. Like every kid gets, beaten. Like, really, I did. I thought this is the way families are. We weren't allowed to have a lot of we didn't have a lot of friends. I was a immigrant. I came to Canada when I was 3 years old. I don't consider myself an immigrant anymore because I've been here basically all my life since I was 3. But, we were bullied in school and stuff like that. So I didn't have a lot of friends to talk to, or people to sort of go, what's your life like? Or, go over to a friend's house and see what normal was, whatever normal is. And, so as I got older, we started to make friends in the neighborhood. We weren't allowed to have anybody over, but once in a while, I got to go over to their house, to play in the backyard or to, have lunch or whatever. And that's when I really started to realize, like, these parents are so nice. Why are they being so nice? And, the kids can do whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. They don't get in trouble. They don't have to be quiet all the time. And that's when I started to realize. And I guess that's why, I kind of went back to what can I do about this? And my grade 3 teacher, because now I was seeing that this was not normal.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's neat that, you were able to develop that awareness and maybe realize, hey, something is a little off, or hey, these kids have the freedom to speak their mind without maybe being stepped on, or whatever the outcome, or in situation. Sounds horrific. I'm so sorry, but clearly very informative for you personally and professionally. In this teacher, is this someone that you stayed in touch with for a while? Like
No.
after, is just kind of, served a moment in time?
It served a moment in time, and it continues to serve, till today, as far as I'm concerned. I've talked about her quite a bit. I'm hoping that someday she, reads one of the articles or one of the things that, I've put out there, hoping that she'll see that and know the difference she made.
Yeah. It's so special. So, one of the questions I had for you, maybe on a personal level to start, is, these early childhood, you're a mother now, of course. How has maybe what you went through and navigated as a child shaped how you show up as a mother for your family? What you allowed, doing a lot of the things that you pass down to your kids. Like how has this shaped you as a mother and person in the world, for your family?
Yeah, I was a very young mother, so my kids are like old. That's why they could cook me all these great breakfasts and take me places. I could travel with them. They're like more like my friends than my children. And yeah, and I guess that's sort of one of the ways that it sort of impacted me was I at first when I had children, I was really scared about what kind of mother I would be. I was concerned that did I have the same kind of anger or whatever inside of me, and so I was pretty hands off. At first, I did have postpartum depression with my first child, my daughter. I did not want anything to do with her for the first, 60 days of her life. So a couple of months. And, my family really helped me out with that. My mom at the time had remarried. Thank goodness. And, to a wonderful man, and they were fantastic grandparents. But for me, it was a very scary thing to have children after what I had been through as a child. By the time that my second child came along, though, I kind of, figured out that I was not going to be a bad mother, that I was a good mother, but I always maintained more of a friendship with them. I could be strict, but I would never be strict to the point where I would, give them a spanking or, scream at them or swear at them. I just would, step away or, go somewhere and count to 10 or hand them off to somebody else. But I had a real fear of that, that the cycle would continue. And I wanted to be the one to break that cycle.
Yeah. Well, seems like you, gave intentional thought, to, child rearing, even though it was, you said it was extremely scary, for sure. And clearly didn't want to repeat, what happened to you. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing all that you have, with a stranger pretty much. Desiree, I mean, I'd love to maybe transition the conversation a little bit professionally. I mean, you've, achieved so much, and clearly, I mean, at least what appears on paper, a track record with a drive throughout. Going back to kind of where you started the conversation, I mean, how much of childhood influence ambition, influence, kind of drive to make a mark on the world? Like, how were you thinking about who Desiree wanted to be in the world and what you wanted to achieve based on kind of what you navigated in early childhood?
Yeah, so we were not well off. We were quite poor, growing up, and my mom was the only one working when we were children. But after my mom left, and we got my father taken away, actually, I was around 10 or 11 years old, and it was funny because I did have this ambition and this drive to get us. I've gotten us out of this mindset of I got us out of one situation. What can I do to get us out of another, situation of not having a lot? And I really intentionally wanted to help my family to not be poor. So that was kind of in my mind the whole time. When we were little, we'd go to school and we wouldn't even have enough food for a lunch. So, my mom would have like one slice of bread she'd cut in half and she'd put butter and sprinkle sugar on it. And that was lunch. And we thought it was the greatest thing because all of our friends were like, oh, you get a sugar sandwich. That's amazing, right? Well, they had, bologna and whatever. So it was kind of cool. But at the same time, it just showed us how little we had. And that was like every day. So I really wanted to get us out of that poverty. When I was 10 years old, or 11 years old, just, after my father was taken away, one of the things I used to do was I used to rent my older sister's clothes out to my friends. And so, started a little entrepreneurial adventure right there and, saving up money so it can help contribute to groceries and that sort of thing. So I kind of, from just being free to do what I wanted to do, became very ambitious about, where my life could go after that. It was like incredible to have this freedom.
It's amazing. I mean, what, being poor and maybe not having a lot growing up, like how that creates such a drive for sustainability or getting yourself and your family out of, certain situations. And while you're, speaking, where did you immigrate from again?
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka. Okay. Wow. Okay. And you you went to Canada, so why Canada versus the US?
Yeah, I think Canada's always been more open to immigration, as you could see, we over immigrated in the last few years, but, yeah, I was always open to immigration, and we had some relatives like cousins or something that were already here. So it was easier to move somewhere where you already had family established, because the government will then go, okay, well, you're going to be the responsibility. So you had a sponsor. You're going to be the responsibility of that sponsor. So it makes it easier.
Got it. And yeah, no, understood. I know Canada has been much more lenient in many regards. Now, Desiree, you talked about wanting clearly a very different life for yourself, professionally and financially, say high school or early college kind of years. Like, what were you thinking about in terms of, hey, like these are pathways for me that ultimately can help me achieve and not, make a whole better future for myself and my family. How are you thinking about the life of Desiree in terms of a professional kind of ascension in those kind of late teen years, early 20s?
Yeah, it was just hard work. Like, it was going to be just hard work. I was a young mom, as mentioned. So I actually had to drop out of school and then go back. So by the time I was 21, I already had 2 children. So I had to go back to go to college. So I was doing it through online. It wasn't online. It was correspondence, I guess, at the time. And got my bachelor's that way. So working 2 jobs, sometimes 3, 2 full, 1 part, trying to juggle having kids, daycare, all that, and going to school, doing school in the evenings. So it was hard. It was very challenging. But I did it. And then it was more of a mindset of just, get a job, get in somewhere and work hard to achieve what you want to achieve. So did do that.
And you were sleeping how many hours a night at this time?
Not very many, yeah.
So I was a guest under 5, so it sounds about right. And let me ask you a question. I mean, you were context switching. I mean, a lot. I mean, it seems like you've led a career. It's required a lot of kind of operational acumen, strategic acumen. Were you always good at kind of juggling, 4, 5, 6 things at a time? I mean, it clearly lends to, I think, what you've done, and which we can talk about. But I'm just kind of curious if that was kind of built or if that was, you were born with.
Yeah. I would think that's something that's innate. And, I always, balance is about, feeling good about what you're doing. So people used to always make me feel super awkward when they would say things like, you need some work-life balance. Well, no, I don't. I need to feel happy with what I'm doing. And if that means that I want to work for 12 hours a day, well, that is my work-life balance. Some people may only want to work 4 hours a day. I think you need to do what makes you happy. And if I enjoy what I'm doing, then I want to do it, and I want to do it all day long, then I will. So I have a little thing about that whole idea of work-life balance. I think it should be more of do the things that make you happy. And if working is one of those things that you enjoy, then you should do it.
Yeah, I think that's a healthy perspective. And I don't quite get personally, I probably shouldn't say this on the podcast, but I don't quite get the whole millennial work-life balance kind of conversation. I kind of wish everyone was like a Desiree, but it's hard to find those people at times. But it's good. It's neat that you have accepted that about yourself and maybe find joy in that achievement of the process. So, Desiree, tell me about, I read a bit of your bio, and, there was a focus. It seems like there's pillars to you. I don't want to project here, but it seems like there's a lot of focus on leadership development of other people, and clearly the way you've had to overcome, there's a big sustainability focus to you and what you're involved with and different organizations and leading boards. Like, what is right now, the focus for you in terms of kind of where you're applying time, kind of how you're thinking about your dent on the world and ultimately your future dent. And then we can kind of work backwards from there.
Now, right now, I'm really focused on the future, of people, the future of our planet, sustainability. I'm very involved in a board with a global sustainability business board, and with the UN Global Compact, and as well because I feel like businesses are going to play the key role with regards to the future of our planet. And I think the future of work is integrated with sustainability. So, doing good work, doing work that you can contribute back to the community, using your business basically as a force for good. So I've been on that sort of journey since 2016. And, I actually became aware that as a successful company, it was an obligation to give back to the community. And I designed a program within my own company, our own business model, to be able to do that. And it wasn't just successful in connecting us to the community and making a difference. It was something our team could feel proud of and feel that they were contributing to as well. And it was the start of my journey, my long journey of purpose-driven leadership. This was the most successful my company had ever been. And you can see the hockey stick of growth and profitability as soon as we changed our mindset to purpose.
So I have two questions. One a bit kind of taking what you said and applying that to different business sizes and kind of programming. But I want to start, you said something about profitability, also, positive correlation to sustainability and kind of purpose-driven goals of giving back to the community. Can you make that a little bit more tangible?
Well, a business has to thrive, to be profitable enough to be able to do good. So, how we say, do well by doing good, or using our business as a force for good. My formula, if I were to put it in a formula, is purpose plus profit equals impact. So you cannot have impact if, first of all, your organization doesn't have an overall greater purpose, and you cannot have impact if that purpose doesn't help your business be profitable.
Totally. Now, so I think that's a great segue to the next question then is, so let's say you're a business under like $10 million in revenue. You don't have maybe a ton of excess resources on the bottom line to maybe drive into the community. I'm curious, like, what are things that, those businesses can do, right, to maybe start that journey a bit earlier? And then if it's a business, let's say over 20, 30 million or 50 million revenue, you might have more resources, if you're running an efficient, sustainable business. Like, what are things that larger companies can do that have a bigger impact? I'm just kind of curious, kind of in terms of a programming and tactics perspective, kind of what that looks like and means to you.
Yeah. And, when you're a smaller business, obviously, you don't have a whole lot of money to be putting into sustainable business practices from a big picture perspective, right? But you could do things like reducing your carbon footprint within the office. That's as easy as turn off the lights and shut off the computers before you go home. All of a sudden, you're already reducing the carbon footprint. You're also reducing your electricity costs. Other things you could do is just put a couple of, $5 composting bins in your kitchen for the company, and people can throw their food products, that sort of thing. There are companies that will just come and pick it up at no cost. Same with your recycling bins, right? There are companies out there that'll come pick up your recycling, just put a bin in. So those are small things that you're doing, reducing your carbon footprint, recycling, doing that sort of stuff, small little things in your office. And you can actually even go online. And if you're a small company, it's actually easier to become a certified B Corporation than if you're a large company. Even if you can't pay the annual fee for being a B Corp, they have a BIA, a B impact assessment online that you can go to, and it gives you all of these different things your company can be doing to start, a journey towards sustainability, and it's free to utilize that tool. The UN Global Compact has what they call an action manager, sustainability action manager, that you could utilize. It's a checklist just to help your company start the journey to sustainability. That's the sustainability piece. If you want to drag down like purpose with regards to, helping the community out, you could we used to give, our team a half a day, then it turned to a day to volunteer, and that we would pay them for that. So that's something that, it may be a cost to your company, but if you have a salaried team, you're giving them salary every month anyways. Why not give them one of those days to just go do something in the community that is going to bring awareness and attention to your organization? It's almost like marketing, because your team members now going to go out there. They're going to do this good thing in the community. You're going to pay them for a day's work regardless. That whoever they're doing the work for will now put things out on social media about your organization, and your team member comes back and they talk to everybody else about it. They talk to their family talks to people. You're getting brand awareness, you're getting marketing awareness, and you're getting a team member whose morale is now up and may be a longer term member of your team. Like, it just all sort of flows together.
Yeah, totally. And it seems like, from what I'm hearing you say, like it creates a bit of a rallying cry within the organization, and people to maybe attach themselves to that's beyond the kind of delivery of the product service that the company is doing. So it sounds like you thought a lot of this through quite well.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you want. You want your team to feel like what they're doing is more purposeful, that they're achieving something greater than just coming to the office and working every day, that everything that they do has a secondary benefit to somebody else out there, or a residual benefit to the community.
Yeah, totally. If you're a founder looking to grow without raising capital or giving up control, Relent is built for you. Founded by entrepreneurs who've scaled without outside funding, Relent helps companies find and retain talent, lower operational costs, and reinvest in growth. We've hired nearly 10 team members through Relent and streamlined our entire cost structure, freeing up capital to put toward what matters most. Even small teams can set up offshore operations quickly, compliantly, and without heavy infrastructure. With deep expertise in the India-US corridor, Relent combines cultural fluency with operational rigor and guides everything from team design to long-term scaling. Grow on your terms and start with Relent. To learn more, visit relent.team/arcbound. From all your experience building companies, which I want to get to, I know we have 15, 20 minutes left here, but you've seen the impact and why this is so important. So it's just need to hear a fresh perspective as well. Desiree, from what I can glean, it seems like the area that maybe made your first big dent on the commercial or company side is with your wine imports business. If I'm assuming that to be right, can you tell me a little bit about Desiree Imports, why you started in the wine space? I mean, it seems like you built up a pretty significant business on that front, and I just kind of want to know kind of the opportunity that you saw early and why you spent so much time building up that business.
Yeah, that's not my main business, but it definitely is one of the businesses that I have. And I like to look at sustainable wines and, people that are growing their wine properly and doing things that are not harming the environment when they're growing their grapes. That sort of thing. So that's a sustainable product. I got interested in it just because of the fact that I was collecting wines, in all honesty. And I wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing with the business. And it just turned into something that, sort of propelled into something bigger. My real business that, sort of propelled me to all the awards and all the other things that you might read on my bio, is a business process optimization company. And that's, doing digital workflow processes for businesses as an outsource service center. So that's a lot of people that you're dealing with. And so you have to really find ways to be able to create a culture and make a difference so that these people will be long-term, that they can believe in what you're doing. And I tied it all into like I said, a business model that gives back to the community. We were educating females in underserved and developing communities. And we brought back stories and case studies of what happened to those girls that we were educating, what happened to the women that we were doing microloans for. These are the businesses they started. We made videos and we bring that back to our team, and they just, look at this and, often bring the team to tears, which is, what you want to do is you want to hit the soul of your team. You want to make them laugh. You want to make them cry. You want to make them really feel like they are connected to the company and to what the company is doing in a much bigger way. I really believe that, and I've always believed that people make the difference in a successful company. I always say people are not loyal to companies. People are loyal to other people. So you want to treat them like they are your most prized assets. In 2013, I was, asked to come back and lead this company. It was failing. And my one caveat to that was that I had carte blanche to run the company however I wanted to run it. And I took away hierarchy, I took away titles, and we operated as a flat, nimble company that used agile methodology and frameworks, and the culture had to change. So the big change was needed. And that's how I changed the culture, is taking away those things that form, silos within an organization and create a very communicative, flat organization where people weren't afraid to say what they needed to say to make the organization successful.
Wow. Well, testament to you as a leader and maybe what you saw that needed to turn around. And thank you for filling in the context for me on the core company. Because I know in our first call, we did talk about the BPO side of what you've built. And, going back to what I maybe picked up on earlier, as you were juggling all those things strategically, operationally, jobs, college, kids, efficiency clearly had to be a core to kind of skills that you built. And it's interesting how you took that to a degree and said, okay, how do we build a much larger kind of business to support companies in their efficiencies, and while giving back to women and creating opportunities for them. How did you, that's a question as you were talking. You seem like you had so much joy of the opportunities that you created for the people and the people serving the company, not just like the work that you were producing in the world, but the impact. You talked about the microloans, these women in developed kind of areas. How did that come to mind, in terms of how you wanted that company to have impact in the world in that way? How much of that was rooted in your own story as an immigrant and kind of being a woman?
Yeah, hugely. There were so many barriers and so many challenges to get through in order for a woman like myself to get to a level where, I was actually making a difference within an organization or given the opportunity to be in a leadership role. And I just feel like women aren't given a fair opportunity to, as like men are, to get into those roles. And so I very much went through my life always wanting to see where I could help, the women leaders, my peers, do better, be better, accomplish more, show that they, were on equal footing and could do the job as well or better than anyone else out there. So it became kind of like a secret mission for me while I was going through life to sort of endorse and help and support women and frankly men as well. I've mentored a lot of men, great men, and I have a lot of male allies. I don't know if you know this, but I'm just launching a women's business club here in Calgary. And we allow male allies, but we're just looking at our venue right now. We're about to go check it out on Thursday. We just signing off on an LOI and soon an agreement to build a women's club in Calgary. And it's all about supporting women at every level of their journey in every phase of their life. Especially mom entrepreneurs, so that they have somewhere to go and mentors to talk to and workshops to attend. Because, I want to continue to help build and lift women to their best potential.
That's really special and beautiful. Is it, and just to also clarify, is it for women just in Calgary, or are you bringing in women from, outside?
Well, if if there's a women that come to Calgary often, and because it's a physical space, right? That want to get a membership, absolutely. And who knows where it can grow from, one club. If it's successful, we certainly will look at other locations.
Yeah. And the way you're defining success, I'm just curious. I mean, it seems like you're like gleaming with like joy about this. Like, how do you determine success, impact, sustainability to say, hey, we're going to go build other maybe centers throughout Canada?
I think success will be defined by our customers or our members, just like in any business, you're going to see referrals, you're going to see people coming often, you're going to see things on social media. I mean, we've only been running this virtually. Well, it's not virtually. We actually have in-person events, but we started the club before the club is built. And we have so many accolades out there on social media with regards to what women are experiencing and getting from that. So that to me is success. When you are actually making a difference for somebody else and they're talking about it and they're letting you know, this helped me this way, and they can give you very specific examples of what it meant to them to be at this, specific event where you had a speaker that, changed something for them. When you're changing things in other people's lives for the better, then you're being successful.
Yeah. Wow. I love how many things. I mean, you like the word limitless keeps coming to mind the more you talk, and it just seems like nothing is too big or nothing is not approachable, right? To like what you see and the impact you want to create, and clearly across a number of different industries, avenues, but all seems to be kind of coming back to impacting people. And I think that's super special. Desiree, as you think about, like the future, and you think about maybe you hang it up in, I don't know, 40, 50 years, you look quite young, even though it seems like you've done so much, but let's just say there's 40, 50 years ahead of you of just like, you're never going to stop, and maybe some good biohacking along the way. Like, how do you want to be like remembered? Like, and the way I want to ask this question is if you were in at like your favorite music venue with like your favorite artist, and then the billboard came up and you were like bottom right hand corner, and there was a message that overcame the screen, and you had tens of thousands of fans, and there's a message and it stood for like the impact that you have on the world. Like, what do you think a singular message might say? I know that's a hard question, but I'm just curious how you'd answer it.
Yeah, I think what I'd wanted to say in that bottom right-hand corner is leadership is not about how people feel about you. It's about how people feel about themselves when they're with you.
Yeah. It's really, really great. Poignant, for sure. For any company, for any leader, any person. Steph, there's someone named Steph I think would be good in Canada to introduce you to for what you're doing. I meant Desiree. Desiree, like, I think we've touched on a lot of different parts to you. I mean, it's been a pretty holistic interview. Is there anything that maybe we haven't touched on? Anything that you really want to give kind of light to about yourself, about, people in your life that would be good to speak to?
Well, I think, the one thing that I would say is, because you remarked on it and commented on it a couple of times, is that you get to, we wait too long to get to that point in our lives where we feel like we could just go for it, like that we have that fear of we don't want to take the risk, there's too much that we can lose, all of those things. I think we all have a universal spirit that guides us, and it shows up in the form of gut instinct. I don't remember a time when my gut steered me wrong. In business, I would trust my gut sometimes more than I trusted data. And now we know that data can be biased as well. So I would just say, I led a lot, like I have the education, but I have a master's in business, but the majority of my decisions are gut instinct. And I think you'll find maybe they won't say it out loud, but the majority of successful entrepreneurs lead with their heart and their gut instead of data and, trying to be practical. And I think once you lose that fear, like you said, you're just going for this and that. I just did something crazy as well. I started I bought a business, a kitchenware business. It's a retail store that sells high-end kitchenware. And my son loves high-end kitchenware. He's a cook and he's running it. And I'm like, why did I do that? But I just felt this is going to be so fun. And we're having the best time, and it's profitable. Like, it's very profitable. And it's just having that mindset of it's going to work out. Like, really, I know this sounds strange, but you really have to believe, like, just have that belief in yourself that things are going to work out. It's not that there won't be challenges. It's not that there won't be hiccups or barriers. But at the end of the day, if you really want something to happen, and you really believe in it, it will happen.
I love that. Yeah. I think that's so special and so cool. You get to share that with your son as well, and kind of teach him a little bit about.
Oh, he's learning a lot right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think so many people are so scared to just jump. And you have a track record of seems like jumping, having no idea it's going to work out. As you were talking about trusting God, are you familiar with the book, The Untethered Soul?
I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, I'm rereading it for the first time in like 4 years. I'm not one to reread books, but it's kind of about like becoming, creating like a separation mentality and taking off like a tight grip on like outcome. And I found, as you're talking about, like it's a kind of on gut too. It talks about a lot of just kind of like letting the things come to you, and not trying to force the way it needs to go or look at the data. And I think like things do on the fold, and I think the way, like as you mentioned, the universe kind of wants it to. And so it seems like you've learned how to tap into that inner voice of yours in a very special way, and through that been able to impact so many. So I think it's a good place to close out here. Desiree, where can people find you and reach out to you?
I'm on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Holly, they can reach out.
Great. Well, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Desiree's story began with a whisper, a teacher's encouragement, and unfolded into a lifetime of decisive courage. From that phone call at 11 to building companies that run on empathy and purpose, her life shows how bravery doesn't fade, it evolves. We saw what happens when leadership trades ego for meaning, when sustainability becomes a system, and when a woman who once feared repeating pain builds spaces where others can rise without it. Her belief in following the gut, even when data disagrees, led to new ventures, new impact, and a new chapter shared with her son. If this episode stirred something in you, take a moment to rate, review, or share it with someone who could use a reminder that courage compounds. New episodes of The One Away Show arrive every Tuesday and Friday. We'll meet you there, ready for the next story of transformation.